the time zone was really one of the challenges that we had.
Yeah. So for example, right now what I'm doing is I'm trying to record what we're talking about. The main reason why I really wanted to do something like this was I had this vision in my head where I want to become a speaker. I want to talk about things about, like, imagine me at a TED Talk, for example, or at a conference, just speaking.
Yeah.
And I don't even know how to begin that, what topics I'm going to be doing, where I'm going to do it. And in my head, I'm like, okay, I probably don't need to know the whole picture, but I need to know steps. Like, what should I do first to be able to start? So in my head, I was playing the journey of it, and I thought, okay, number one, I need to have like a way of being able to communicate what I wanted to say, and to do that, I might, start doing a blog, like have a topic and write something about it. That essentially could become a speech or a spiel that I could use, and it's a way of training my mind to think structured and stuff like that. And then I'm like, okay, that's one part of it, but I also need to be able to say stuff correctly and articulately. And I'm like, okay, how do I train? How do I practice? Maybe I should do something like a podcast, because that allows me to have conversations with a lot of people, get their ideas, share experiences and all of that. And I also get to practice how to be more comfortable in front of camera and in front of people and all that. And it ties back into the whole concept, because if I talk to a lot of people with different ideas and different, ways of life and experiences, I get that those insights are also something that I could absorb and I could also talk about or learn from. So it sort of makes sense. And essentially, I don't really my main goal is not to get listeners or have a massive fan base. It's more like a personal development sort of thing, that I can, have a conversation, talk about something relevant, ask the right questions and all that. So it's more of like a practice for me, rather than, I want to start a podcast so that I'd be famous and all that. And so for me, that puts less pressure on me, because my measure of success is really dependent on how I grow and what I learn from it. Do I become better at talking to people, and all that? So that being said, it puts me in a better position to know what I want to get out of it. And the reason why I reached out to you was that I was thinking what your thoughts are, like how do I start, what sort of equipment should I use, platform, how do you promote, sort of thing, if there's anything that you can share.
Okay, well, I think for one, you wouldn't have much trouble in being comfortable with it. And I think, like, between the two of us, you're better at that. Like, I'm very uncomfortable with videos. I'm like, even until now, I do hosting, I do live shit, but if you ask me to, like, do a video, I can't. I lose my personality. Like, I cannot bring my normal self, which I think for you, it's more easier.
Yeah.
Like, you can, like, talk to the camera and, like, you be your normal self. And I think that's one very vital thing that somebody who aims to do something like this needs to have. And I don't think that's going to be much of a problem for you. In terms of what you want to do, I think you may also be able to get inspiration from some people that actually have the similar kind of concept. Because I think another vital thing for doing podcasts is your commitment to what your content is. Commitment in the sense that you're not just, creating a discussion just for the sake of having it, but really make sure that the content has needs and it's valuable, it makes sense.
Yeah.
And one thing I can suggest that reflects that is, do you watch 5-5?
What's 5-5? Is that a TV show?
It's a TV show. It's called Queer Eye.
Oh, Queer Eye. Okay, I know of Queer Eye. I know Queer Eye.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you try to look for JVN's podcast.
Okay, you have to
Jonathan Van Ness.
you have to text it to me.
Yeah.
But that's okay. Yeah. So what was your point?
The reason why it like while you were saying all that, like what your vision is, I was already being able to like connect that to how JVN has it on his podcast. He's just normally himself. Like if you listen to it and if you've seen at least like an episode or two of Queer Eye, you really would say that he's not faking it. Like he's just being himself when he's talking to people. And it's similar to what you want to do. You either have just a topic, invite one person, and then you just dwell on that topic, talk about it, dive deep on whatever the topic can bring value to. So definitely that. In terms of equipment, it depends. If you're out what you wanted to have, like video, I think what you've been using before when you're doing your video covers, I think that should be enough. For audio, if you're just doing like an audio podcast, I think you would suit more on a video podcast.
The problem that I have with video podcasts is that like the podcasts, the sessions would have to be virtual, right? It has to be online, but then the quality of it, and then how do I connect? Like I could have a very good video of me, but then the people, like what I see normally, like I checked out like other people who have group podcasts. They actually have proper equipment, like they have the microphone set up and the sound quality is really good, and then their cameras are set up also, like the background's faded. It all looks so fancy. And if it's on video, like they have edits wherein like if there's important messages, like this is important, like the screen goes in like that. So it's properly edited. And so for me, it's like if I wanted to go to that level, I'd have to spend, and my partners would have to spend. So not just time, but also money. So
true.
So it's.
But I mean, it could also be the tool that you're using. The reason I asked you if you had Zoom, because Zoom is a really, really good tool, and it even has a green screen effect, so you won't see all this in my background. For you on Zoom, it's whatever you wanted to promote or whatever. But audio is also perfectly fine, I think, and I think in the sense of quality even, especially if most of the people that you'll be talking to or inviting to have conversations are from this country, I'm pretty sure you would rather not have them on video.
Why would you say that?
Because the internet here sucks. What are you talking about?
Well, your internet's fine. Like it's perfectly fine. Like you're sounding.
Well, I'm paying
good.
extra.
Yeah. That makes sense.
But no, that actually makes sense. The audio, I think, would be a whole lot easier if you want to put on that. So then since it's gonna be audio and you have less of the visual people, then you really have to up the game in terms of the content. Then because people, you know how different it is for the focus span, right?
Right.
For a visual content, the focus is longer than an audio content. Like you really want your listeners to be hooked to what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So and I think maybe you can also get some inspiration on some short content also. I'm not sure if you follow Nas Daily on Facebook. Like that's 1 minute and that's a wrap, and all his content is just 1 minute.
Wow, that's a bit tough though. That's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work, that's for sure. So you have to fit it, but you don't have to fit it in just like a minute or something. That's another challenge that we actually encountered with Barkada Talk. Our content can go up to 2 hours.
In terms of content, for me, what I think is important is to just really get the experience or the knowledge or the specialization or expertise of the person that I'm talking to out there, and extract it from their brains, and have it for myself and share it for the rest of the world in a way that's engaging and exciting and informational, like educational, informational, or whatever. I feel like I still want to have conversations just because a part of me also wants to reconnect to the people that I've actually lost touch with ever since I moved to Australia.
Right.
So even if we don't generate any content out of it, at least we get value by reconnecting and like just having that conversation and reminiscing and just spending an hour.
Yeah, I agree, because you wouldn't really be able to like know exactly like what would come up. Like for now, like we're talking particularly about that, and then suddenly you shared about your wedding plans or whatever.
Yeah.
So these are, and I think that's actually more beautiful when you have those organic topics coming up, and then you actually see people having genuine reactions towards it. I think that can also be one. But the point that I was highlighting earlier, the commitment to the time also is going to be challenging. Like try to have a committed time frame. Let's say if you're going to do things that are just within 10-15 minutes, I say that's a good amount of time. And then it's going to be less of a hassle also for you. And plus you don't have to like use all the material, right?
Exactly.
You could play around with your material and whatever you get in the conversation.
Yeah,
so.
Because what I was thinking was just I spend an hour for recording. Like that's also time box that we get 1 hour to talk about anything, and then it gets trimmed down. So my goal is at the very least it's at least 10 minutes. And past 10 minutes, that's just my goal. And then if it goes to 45 minutes, that's fine. Normally podcasts are 1 hour long, and then what I can do is then I can take out bits of like segments of it, like 30-second clips or 1 second clip that I can use to like promote and like and then if you want to hear more, check out this link, blah blah blah, and then that's something that I can use. So that was in my head, that was what I was thinking. And then and I don't know, maybe you'd want to be a regular a regular guest or whatever. I don't know, like
I don't mind. My video is okay, right? So I'm not in the poor bracket.
Of course. Of course.
No, yeah, sure. I mean, if we would be able to work out at the time, I don't mind.
For me, I don't really mind if nobody gets to hear it, but my point is my objective is to really just be able to hone my skill. And it sounds selfish, but at the end of the day, it's
gonna be like a win-win even for the people that you'll be talking to, I would say.
So for example, what were the sort of topics that you really liked talking about? And that was also something that hit the mark with the audience and the listeners.
Well, some of the more popular ones that we had was the first one, Batang 90s kid ka kung.
Oh,
so, like,
right.
Most of the people who remembers like, oh yes. And then we talked about like 90s related cartoon and anime.
Oh, right, okay. So it's really just a group talk, right? It's a Barkada Talk. Yeah, it's like...
That's why we're like randomly talking about like, what do you remember? Oh no, I don't remember.
Yeah.
No, but we had you as a guest once. Like,
I can't remember. You did call me up. I can't remember what.
Yeah.
But yeah, true.
And then there was a line I said there that made a mark, and like people are joking about it. You can't remember at all. So we were talking, and then I think there was a bad reception. Since it was DK and everybody was like abroad, right? So there was a bad reception, and you can't hear them. Tapos nag-joke ako. Sabi ko, ano ba yun? Sabi ko, hahampasin kita ng kawali. And that became like every time the people are like doing that as a random joke. Sige, hampasin ka niya ng kawali.
That's so cute. Yeah, but that's so true though. It's so natural, and it's organic. Yeah, as you said, organic is the right term. And I think.
But if you want to say that the topic that we have are very masa, I would say.
Right.
But if your target is more like a TED Talk kind of thing, you can check out JBN's podcast, and then some other ideas would be, I would say, like, what are the things that you are passionate about to talk? Kasi that's also very important, right? If we're just choosing the topic and then you're not really
Yeah.
into the topic.
For me, I do have some concepts in mind that I'd like to talk about with different people. Like, I recently reached out to my friend from grade school, and just realized, like, hey, maybe we should talk about the things how we started, because we started from a very small part of the Philippines, and we're now
Right.
in different parts of the world. Like, I'm in Australia, he's in the UK, and I'd like for us to talk about our journey and how we are similar and how we are different. And like, if there's anyone who's like thinking like where you started isn't always where you have to be. Like, it's you
Right.
define where you want to go, and it's a matter of either you choosing it or the world choosing it or the universe choosing it for you. And when it's most magical is when the universe and you come together and agree and do a handshake that this is what we're gonna do. And for me, that's like that's the ultimate goal in life, to really find that handshake between you and the universe that tells you deep within you that you know that yes, this is meant for me, this is where I should be, this is what I should be doing. And I think that sense is like, okay, I think I find that very inspiring. I find that like some people might be able to relate, some people might be stuck in a rut at the moment where they don't know where to go, they don't know what to do with their life. Think about something, like do something, change it up. Maybe that's what would inspire you and make you realize where you want to go, because it's the connections. For me, it's the connections that matter, because they're the ones that either pull you or push you away. And I think that's one topic that I want to talk about. The other thing is about like corporate life or life in general, like mindsets, for example. There's this common thing that I hear a lot that goes, this is how we've been doing it in the past 3 years. We don't need to change it because it works.
Yeah.
Like how dangerous that mindset is for a business. Just because something works doesn't mean you don't improve it. And that's a misconception. That's a fallacy that I'd like to elaborate and expound on, because people might actually think that it's all right not to change because it's working.
Exactly.
So
You don't want to end up like Nokia.
Oh, true. So true.
That's Nokia is the best example for that.
Classic. So these are the things that I feel like I want to talk about. It's not really out of the box. It's like a lot of people are talking about it, but the difference is I'm talking about it with someone else from a different perspective. And I think that's the value that I bring, because then it starts conversation. People could either contradict or agree, or and for me,
or you can like dwell on pros and cons, or okay, like we see that as something negative, but maybe let's talk about what other people see that makes it look positive for them.
Yep. And oh my god, that's so cool. So with that, I think I want to continue having conversations with you. We'll pick this up later.